Hello, how's everybody? Thank you for being patient. Let me just get things brought up. 1 second. Share my screen. Let me know if you can hear me, chat. Thank you again for being here, guys. Thanks for your patience. I had a little technical difficulties with the Wi-Fi. I'm uploading a video that I edited together while we're talking right now. It should be done by the time I get... Oh, it looks like it is done. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're good to go. I edited together while we're talking right now. So I've got some stuff to kind of go through. I'll be switching screens a lot and sharing my screen, so just bear with me. Today we are doing this live stream mostly because it's been kind of requested by my subs. I didn't really plan on getting into this Silva versus Courtney Love and everyone else listed on the screen. As you can see, this is the allegations on the right side, and the people on the left side, that Isaiah, who will be referred to as Silva throughout this video and probably every time we talk about the case, that is Courtney Love's ex-son-in-law, so Francis Bean's ex-husband. Okay, CDT, that echo's gone now. Okay. So there's no echo. Just want to make sure. So, like I was saying, everyone that has been following this, it was sort of something that I kind of am stumbling on recently within the past few months. This case has been going on pretty much since, it looks like, 2019. And we'll refer to an article in the Daily Mail. We're pretty much going to do a little bit of time traveling. So we'll be time traveling to 2019, and then we're going to go back to the 90s, and we're going to look at clips of Courtney Love's court days from her past, and we're going to kind of connect it all together here. So as you see, the allegations on the right side are serious. They're not anything, I mean, we got trespassing, emotional distress, there's assault and battery, robbery, a bunch of stuff on there. And what we can expect pretty much from what I'm seeing while I'm researching this is going to be in January, is the next court date. And it pretty much says what we can expect is, hold on, let me just look at my notes. Okay, so what to expect. The trial has been continued from October 2020 to January 2022. COVID pretty much delayed a lot of this. According to a paper from the American Judges Association, as many as 97% of civil cases that are filed are resolved other than by a trial. While some of these cases are dismissed or are resolved through other means, the vast majority of these cases settle. So what we can kind of expect is a settlement to be made with her ex-son-in-law and Courtney Love. If a settlement is not made, then this will in fact go in front of 12 jurors, I believe. And that could be, detrimental to Courtney Love's reputation and freedom, possibly, because if she, is found guilty of all this stuff, then obviously not good for her. So let me just switch off this screen so that we kind of know what's going on so far, like with the legal stuff. And I will share the screen for the Daily Mail article. And I'm just going to read it to you. It gives good visuals and good background. So, like I said, time traveling, will be going to 2019 here. So this was July. And that is the ex-husband. Courtney Love was sued last year from her former ex-son-in-law, Isaiah Silva, who alleged she plotted to murder him in an attempt to retrieve the iconic Kurt Cobain guitar. Silva, 34, will be undergoing a psychiatric examination to determine if he is in the right state of mind as part of the deal hammered out by lawsuit defendants, according to TMZ. The nearly 7-hour-long evaluation will attempt to uncover the background of his accusations and how the alleged incident is still impacting him, according to the documents obtained by the site. So it kind of gets into what it's talking about, like the incident. And they're saying that the audio from the test, his psychiatric evaluation, will be recorded and the notes will be included in the lawsuit. And I'll read from the lawsuit in a little bit. The test will reportedly take place Tuesday, and this has already taken place. Silva was married to Love and Cobain's daughter, Frances Bean Cobain, from 2014 to 2017, and was given a guitar once played by the late Nirvana singer during their relationship. Last year, Silva filed a lawsuit against Love and others, claiming they plotted to murder him as part of an effort to retrieve the iconic guitar. Silva in court documents filed in Los Angeles County named Salmon Butler in his filing, which claimed that the two worked in concert with Love in a plot that involved attempted murder, kidnapping, sexual essay, false imprisonment, extortion, and illegal drug use in an effort to repossess the valuable guitar, an acoustic electric 1959 Martin D 18E Kurt used in his famous 1993 performance on MTV Unplugged. Insiders told Billboard that Frances and the family are prepared to fight with fury of the unprecedented legal force they will prevail. Silva claimed in legal documents that Frances gave him the guitar as a present in 2014 to commemorate their anniversary as a couple. He said that the same occasion he had their room in their West Hollywood, California home renovated to tailor Frances's interests. Silva said that Love even granted Frances her legally required permission to take the guitar from being in storage. Silva told the court that Frances broke up with him in February 2016, filing for divorce the following month, and didn't ask for the guitar back. But when Love and Lufty, who he described as a Rottweiler for Hole singer, became involved in the situation, the threats were ramped up. He said that Lufty provided Frances with drugs such as benzos, using Butler as a delivery man. He said the drug use was a sticking point in the relationship, but her health put her health in danger, as Frances had a seizure at one point during using them. Silva said Love, Lufty, and Butler had helped Jan Yuckman, a chauffeur, to hack into his iMessage account and put out texts making it appear he was despondent and on a mental precipice. Sorry, I don't know that word, but he made it seem like he was ready to contemplate taking his own life, giving them an alibi for their further plan to kidnap and kill Silva, make it appear as if he killed himself. Silva said he reported the text to the Los Angeles Police Department. So it says the aforementioned incident marked a disturbingly similar pattern of course of conduct to the modus operandi of Lufty, whose past had his name in the news amid his association with Britney Spears during her dark days a decade ago. Silva said that Love with help from Lufty, issued threats to his friends and relatives to sour them on him. He told the court that around midnight, June 3rd, 2016, he and a friend were watching a movie at home when Lufty, Butler, and Yachtman broke into the residence and said they were police officers. And this is Butler. The trio forcibly removed the friend from the house, at which point Silva said Lufty grabbed his genitals through his pants and threatened that if he and the other two men would take turns fucking effing him unless he calmed down. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh because that's terrible, but Silva said that the men forcibly removed him from his house and into a Cadillac Escalade, but were thwarted by Silva's aforementioned friend who contacted 911 and blocked the Escalade with his own vehicle. Silva said police cars and helicopters were dispatched to the scene, spurring Lufty to make up a false story intended to prevent LAPD from arresting them, threatening Silva he would murder his family members of his, including his 7-year-old daughter, Arlo. Silva said he was in shock and fearing for his life and the lives of his family and daughter when he told police that he was friends with the three men and that the kidnapping was a gag. Silva said that he thinks he would have been taken to a secondary crime scene and murdered if his friend and cops did not intervene in the situation. Silva said that after the police vacated the scene, he and the trio went back to the house and they held him hostage until he told them where the guitar was. He said that Lufty subsequently devised a legal settlement that would end the harassment and pay him $120,000 if he gave back the guitar and relinquished all claims in the court in the divorce from Cobain. Silva and Lufty continued to harass and stalk him and his family to apply pressure toward the settlement, and that he was afraid to seek help from the authorities amid Lufty's claims that Love had major influence with the police, courts, and media. He eventually reported it 5 days later and was subsequently granted a temporary restraining order against Lufty. Douglas Unger, Silva's lawyer, told Billboard Silva kept the guitar in a settlement earlier this year. The possession of the guitar has been a sticking point for Silva and Frances Bean in the week of their 2016 split with Love, telling TMZ she felt the musical instrument, which experts estimate to be worth millions of dollars, according to the outlet, was a treasured heirloom of the family and not Silva's to take for himself. So Silva also mentioned in court documents that Cobain's mother, Wendy O'Connor, believed Love to be involved in the alleged suicide of her son, Kurt Cobain, and was nearly aware of the disturbing correlations between his circumstances and those of O'Connor's late son. Butler has since denied the accusations and has asked for the lawsuit to be dismissed. I never entered into a conspiracy or otherwise agreed to commit any crime against Silva. I've never conspired with anyone else to murder or kidnap Silva or take possession of the guitar that Silva claims Miss Cobain gave him as a gift, he said in documents obtained by The Blast. So that is sort of a little bit of a background, a rough background, a little bit. Sorry for my reading. I was fumbling there a little bit. So that is what we're kind of digging into. That's just like a little bit of a background of what we're going to be looking at. And it pretty much all is, based around the guitar and Courtney Love and her minions, which is the Sam Lufty and then that Butler actor guy. So that's sort of a little bit of the background. So then I'm going to be sharing some more of some background stuff. I think it's important to show Courtney Love's history, the legal system. So let me just pull up some videos I was looking at, which has her other court appearances, which was back in 95. So we're going to try time travel to 1995 when Courtney Love punched a fan at a Hole concert. And she was in court for that. Some of the video has her music playing. So just because of copyright, I might end up having to mute a little bit, but you'll still be able to get like the whole gist of the interview and the information. And the quality is not that great because it's Dateline from 95, but it's good enough. And all this information is important to kind of give an overall picture of who Courtney is and what she's capable of and what she actually has been in trouble for legally.
Many parents know.
These people learned about today's alternative rock concerts as jurors when they served on a case involving singer-actress Courtney Love.
Do you think I'm talking about monogamy?
She's the star of the recent movie The People vs. Larry Flint and lead singer of a band called Hole.
I thought maybe after the show I might try to get her autograph or get the band's autograph, but after what happened, I decided it probably wasn't a good idea.
19-year-old Rob Lucas saw Hole in March of 1995. Called The Edge in downtown Orlando. He's a big music fan and a veteran concert goer.
It's my ticket collection. Foo Fighters, Soul Asylum, Garbage, Chalk Farm, Tonic.
But Lucas says he'd never been to a show like this concert.
Today, in this courtroom, do you see the individual that struck you at the Edge concert? Could you please point out and describe what the person has on?
That's Courtney Love right there.
Rob Lucas and another teen said Courtney Love had punched them.
She announced to the crowd that she wasn't going to play until she saw more women in the front. When she jumped off the stage, she immediately walked forward and started punching some of the fans.
Ryan O'Donnell was in the front row too. He didn't know Rob Lucas, but he did have a similar story to tell.
She was first saying, "Get back," like this, and then next thing I knew is bared back. I just started getting hit.
O'Donnell was the first to complain to police, and after reading about those claims, Lucas says he and his family decided he should come forward too.
What she did was wrong, and we felt that this shouldn't just go, we shouldn't just let this go by. That this was something that she needed to know, that it wasn't okay to do this kind of thing.
To Orlando prosecutors, the boys' accusations were serious enough to seek criminal charges, 2 counts of battery that could mean up to 2 years in jail. And the boys' testimony wasn't all prosecutors had. They claimed this photo, published in a local paper, proves their case. The photographer is standing right behind Courtney Love. Here's her hair, and this is her arm, allegedly pulled back to punch this person, Ryan O'Donnell.
What is that?
That is me, and that's her rearing back to punch me.
But Love's attorney argued there's no photo of Love actually hitting anyone, and no proof she had. He also suggested that maybe the boys hoped for money from a civil suit, and said it was the audience, not Love, that was a problem.
Isn't it true, Mr. Lucas, that every single big white male just like yourself for 35 feet along this barrier was reaching over and hooting and hollering and grabbing for Courtney Love Cobain? Isn't that the truth of the matter?
The truth is, there were people who were grabbing at her. Yes, I was not one of them.
But the most important point Love's attorney made was also the most surprising. He argued that Love's concerts are so physical, even if she did hit her fans, it wasn't a crime at all.
They wanted this, they expected it, they hoped for it, and they got it.
To convict someone of battery, prosecutors have to prove not only that the contact happened, but also that it was something the victim didn't want. And Love's lawyer claimed the boys consented to being hit simply by showing up at her concert.
This is all part of this rock concert, the physical interaction.
So because of fair use, I am going to pause it real quick and kind of just comment a little bit about it. I think that this notion that it's sort of expected because it's a rock concert, and I think that that's absolutely ridiculous. I give her lawyer credit for pulling this one out. It ended up actually working in her favor. Not what he's saying right here, but the judge ends up dropping everything. You'll see it because I'll play the rest. But this kind of gives us a little bit of a background of, we've talked about in other live streams, and you can check my Kurt Cobain death investigation playlist. And we've seen, her childhood, and now we're going to skip up until the year after her husband passed. And this is, her behavior in public. She gets physical, and unfortunately, she gets away with this and isn't held responsible or, accountable for her actions. So we have proof of her being violent. So.
Of the performer and the audience. That's what these kids come there for.
Lucas agreed concerts can be rough, but says the physical part of a show shouldn't include being punched by the main act.
And you've been to how many concerts?
30, 40, something like that. 30 is probably an accurate number.
And this was the first time you saw the artist actually get down and punch the spectators, the audience?
Andy says he didn't go to this show expecting to be hit or hurt in any way.
I was just there to stay where I was and just observe the concert and to enjoy the music.
The case that began as a trial about whether a rock star hit two fans had turned into a question of concerts and safety. Where does participation in and battery begin? And what are you getting into when you walk through the doors of a concert?
When was the last time you did a proper cleanse of your intestines?
Okay, this is part 2.
And two fans who said she had hit them.
My initial thinking as a juror was, did she hit him or did she not hit him? It's not okay to hit.
But as the trial went on, it seemed the real issue for the jury would become whether hitting the boys was a crime at all.
We can't hit in our homes, we can't hit in our schools, we can't hit on our streets, and we shouldn't be able to hit in an entertainment establishment.
But what about the defense claim that at a certain kind of concert, like the Courtney Love show Rob Lucas and Ryan O'Donnell saw, hitting really is okay and something they should have expected?
This is what the audience comes for. They come for the experience. They come for the thrill. They come for the unexpected.
It was an argument that divided the jury.
It's not, to me, surprising.
I just don't understand how the jury could have been divided. Like that one lady, the one juror started off saying, you can't hit people. Like, it's basic. It's elementary. Like we learned very early on, you don't put your hands on anybody else. So I'm very confused why even before the judge dismissed the case, why the jury was split.
That they would get hurt at a concert like that. But I just don't think they expected it to be her, Courtney Love, coming down and hitting them. But I think they did know what kind of concert they were going to. I mean, we've all been in large crowds, but I certainly, when I went to see the Rolling Stones, I certainly didn't expect Mick Jagger to come down and hit me.
But the jurors never got to voice those opinions. Halfway through the trial, Courtney Love's attorney asked the judge to acquit her, claiming there wasn't enough evidence to convict. And in a rare move, the judge agreed.
It was uncontroverted that the victims were voluntarily in an area in which this uninvited physical contact was likely to occur and was expected to occur.
Courtney Love was vindicated, found not guilty of the charges Rob Lucas and Ryan O'Donnell had made against her.
This decision, I mean, if you think about it, what are they saying? I think it's saying that violence is permitted at these concerts. And I really don't think it should be saying that.
Courtney Love is still performing as a musician and an actress. Rob Lucas.
I think it should scare anybody that goes to a concert, because I want to feel when I go to a concert that I can enjoy myself and I don't have to worry about my safety.
You can still find him at concerts, but now he stays in back, away from so many other teens who still want to be right in the front row.
Courtney Love declined our request for an interview about the case. She's asking Orange County, Florida to reimburse her more than $27,000 she says she spent to defend herself. The county is contesting her request, and the court will make the final decision.
So yeah, she gets away with that. And that was in 95. Yeah, that's just the beginning of her court days. I got something else to share. Got a few things to share. So pretty much by showing these previous incidences and court stuff, I think that it sort of paints a picture of, you know, who she is, what behavior, you know, is truly her. Like, we've seen her act and all that, and we've seen her perform on stage, but who she really is this person who's in this trouble. You know, she's her legal name, like on these court documents. And if we're going to link, that's why I was hesitant to kind of jump into this Isaiah Silva versus Courtney Love thing, because it's not so much about Kurt's death investigation, but at the same time, I realized that this case leads you to kind of link the past to 2019 when this was filed. You know, if this is the type of behavior that Courtney Love is still doing, and she needs people around her that she refers to as, you know, Rottweilers and stuff like that, you know, why does she need Rottweilers to protect her if she's doing good? You know what I mean? Like, obviously she's not up to anything good. And still to this day, we know that she has minions, and we know that, you know, in these court documents, you're going to hear about drug use, and Frances Bean and Courtney using together. And it's just very sad. And I guess now, from what I know, Frances Bean is clean and sober, and I don't hold anything. And I was almost hesitant to talk about her in all this, because I think that Frances is very much like a victim in her mother's, you know, schemes, and just has always been used as sort of a pawn by Courtney. And it's sad. And but it is what it is, and these are public documents, and she shouldn't be ashamed of her past anyways, her drug history, referring to Frances, I mean, because, you know, it's made her who she is, and she's doing well now. And when people are messing up like this, they're obviously not their best self. So when you hear some of the stuff that I read about, you're going to be like, what? But she wasn't well, so I don't judge her. And I do hope, you know, she has a happy life. So let me share this. This was early 2000s. I'm not exactly sure, but after her last court incident, like not much after, but yeah. And these charges, I believe, were drug related.
p.m. on that date, the defendant is ordered to appear. I've also been advised that the people would request a supplemental probation report. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, a supplemental probation report will be ordered.
What is that?
Has bail been posted in this case, or is she out on her own recognizance?
She's out on her own recognizance.
Okay, the defendant may remain OR.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
What does that mean? Probation. Probation.
Thanks. All right, thank you. Court is in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I love that lady.
Courtney Love, is it true that Courtney? No. In 1993, did you offer Eldon Hoke 50?
Okay, hold on. I'm going to pause it here because this guy is a journalist, an investigative journalist who has been at this point following Courtney ever since Kurt passed. And he has had his suspicions on her involvement in Kurt's death and didn't believe that Kurt killed himself. So she's being approached by this reporter, pretty much, this investigative journalist. And she's like thrown off, and he starts asking about her. And in previous videos it explains it, but there's, it's circumstantial evidence, I would say, or people might say it's hearsay, but he passed a lie detector test. But somebody had claimed that Courtney offered him, a large amount of money to kill Kurt for her. And so this guy is approaching her outside of this courthouse and getting her on camera, him bombarding her pretty much. Rivers asked, will the Silva lawsuit be televised? I doubt it. I don't think California courts have, I don't think they share video because we couldn't get anything with the Peterson stuff. And it's going to be, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be blown up unless it goes to it doesn't settle in court. If it goes further, then maybe we'll see something televised about it. But yes, Courtney is in Epstein's black book. Yes. And so anyways, so she's just bombarded here about the guy that was offered money by her to kill Kurt. And her reaction is just hilarious. Like, she's just not well, clearly. And she just wants to like bolt out of there as fast as she can because she's thrown off guard. And that's one thing Courtney doesn't like, because she's the type of person. And if you guys know, like the Watts case, she's very much like NK the mistress, but she's the type of person that always has, a backup plan. So when she's thrown off guard, you can just see it all over her face. Like she just runs.
$1,000 to murder your husband, Kurt Cobain.
Oh, God, Richard Lee, you suck so bad.
Courtney, according to eminent polygraph examiner Edward I. Gelb,
oh, God,
Eldon
you
Hoke,
so need to go away.
I'm
getting in the car now.
With the highest degree of truthfulness.
So he's talking about the polygraph that guy passed, and with the highest level of truthfulness. If there's any mods, I'm noticing a lot of like trolls pretty much in a lot of chats, not just here, but just, can you just remove them? Thank you. But yeah, so she's just totally thrown off guard here. But anyways, just another example of Courtney and her court days. And she was on probation and all that. After this, she lost custody of Francis. And then what I wanted to pretty much talk about at this point was the fact, she had to take, random drug tests. She kind of talks about it in this next few clips that I edited together. Yes, the investigative journalist's name is Richard Lee. Thank you. Yeah, I know, Christy, Lou. It's so blatant to me how she just fits the psychopathic, narcissistic. She conspired at the very least on that murder. So anyway, so she's in court for drug-related stuff at this point. And I just wanted to kind of highlight what everyone pretty much knows, and the use of crack cocaine, which was like what she really spiraled out of control with, what it can do to like your cognitive functions. And, it's so no surprise that it can cause mental issues too, and psychological issues, pretty much saying that, you'll get like paranoid, just a lot of bad side effects regarding heavy use. And it pretty much says restlessness, irritability, which is increased, full-blown psychosis, and the individual loses touch with reality, it says. So if we can kind of look at Courtney as like a whole, and as we time travel, just think about how much drug use she's using. By the time we get to the Silva case, which is now present day in 2019, when this whole plot apparently went down, we can pretty much assume that Courtney's mental state, her brain probably not what it used to be. So the fact that she's doing this like risky behavior with Sam Lufty and the other people involved, it's very reckless. And I think that has a lot to do with her drug use. It's like, what are you doing? Like having this kid kidnapped and stuff. I call him a kid and he's like my age, but like in regards to her, it's like he's a kid. She's way past the point of you should know better.
According to the leading polygraph examiner in the world, you offered $50,000.
Okay, so we got the point. And when I read that Daily Mail stuff earlier, I don't know if you guys caught, it pretty much said that Wendy O'Connor, which we're going to be abbreviating names in this next part because I'm reading the court documents where they just refer to them by the last name, like Frances Bean's going to be referred to as Cobain. Obviously, Love and Butler and Lufty, you'll see I put faces to them. But what was I saying? I forgot where I was going with all that, but I'll show you this little thing I put together. The court pages are very long, so I only got through like the beginning part. So this is obviously going to be something I'm going to have to follow. And if something happens in court in January, like is scheduled, or if it gets delayed, or, if it's just a Zoom call and the lawyers, I don't expect Courtney Love to be walking into court in January. Obviously, it's going to be through lawyers and maybe even Zoom, but I'll keep up on it. I'm not sure when I can do another live stream on this topic, but I will do one when I can. If you guys are looking for even more information on this case, I will say that American Spy Fox has a lot on this topic. So I would go to that while you wait, pretty much for me, because I don't know when I'll be able to do another one. Because I like I said, I pre-recorded the live me reading the court documents. So I get so much. Okay, give me a second while I'm sharing my screen. I have to turn it down a little bit too. And so at this point, as I'm sharing the screen, we're going to time travel to Courtney Love's days. And I think it's 2000 or maybe 2001 when this interview was done. And it's Behind the Music. If you guys ever watched that, VH1 always had it on. That was their show. So this is Courtney. And this clip is this clip is before her in court for that drug relation. And you can see the difference in her face. She looks good, not good, because you can tell she's like fake looking, but hold on. She looks better than that court appearance. So I'll just say that. And now these clips that I'm sharing, and the point of these ones are sort of to kind of paint a whole picture of, who this woman is, and going through hours and hours of her interviews, primarily the ones after Kurt passed away, I think are the ones that I'm really honing in on. I just noticed things that she says, obviously, and if we're going to look at this whole case and the Silva case as well as, another thing on the list to kind of make her look like a shady character. Is she somebody that could have plotted to kill her husband for money? That's what all this is all about. That's what the Silva case is about to me now. That's what all her clips are about, the things that she says. Is she capable of that? And so far, even just knowing her childhood, it's very similar to other criminals' childhoods, neglect, rejection. I think it's highly possible that she is capable of what we're accusing her of and what she's being accused of in this new case, too.
I get picked on, I try and drive me to the loony bin. I get this because I'm the only chick standing, and I'm a crazy bitch.
So she just said I get picked on. Something about them wanting to drive her to the loony bin. I'll rewind it real quick, but it's like, why are people wanting to bring you to the loony bin? It's just like another red flag, but she says things so quick sometimes, like you just have to like pay attention. Like, why would she admit that? And then she'll get into like this whole like, oh, I'm a victim, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that just stood out to me. But that's not even the whole clip that I'm wanting to share with you guys. Hang on.
I get so much. I get picked on. They try and drive me to the loony bin. I get this because I'm the only chick standing, and I'm a crazy bitch, and I'm a widow, and it makes me sick.
So the context of this little conversation, from what I can remember, it was just about her being a female in the music industry, I believe. I mean, you can watch this and see the whole thing. The context doesn't really matter in what she says is sort of the red flag, but that's sort of what she's talking about at this point. So I just wanted to explain that real quick.
Pathetic. Stop it. Seriously, or I'll kill you.
About it rather than just put it in and go.
And she had some issues with Marilyn Manson when they were touring together and stuff. So I don't know. And she had issues with Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails. So when she's like all aggressive like this, like, I don't know who she's directing it towards really, but at the same time, it's kind of eyebrow raising. Like, really? Like, I don't know. It's just, think about it too. This is after she got in trouble in court for punching that fan. So she's saying like, oh, talking this way, like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't take everything she's saying so literal. But when we have to kind of pull apart what she's saying all these years, I have to take what she says sort of literal, or at least note it as, well, that was alarming or a red flag. And if you guys agree or disagree, let me know in chat.
The mad episode. Do you know what I mean? Which you could
Stop it. Seriously, or I'll kill you.
About it rather than just put it in and go, oh, look, there's a mad episode. Do you know what I mean? Which you could do.
Well, I have mad episodes because I'm a bit mad.
Well, okay, so that maybe is the absolute core truth. Basically, that.
Okay, so I'm just looking at chat. Hi, the analyst. I meant to give you a wrench also. Thank you for being here. Paul said, let me pull up his comment through StreamYard. I thought it was noteworthy. Silva case was for a guitar. So imagine what she would do for Kurt's money and the Nirvana's estate. Yeah. And that's pretty much what I'm like connecting all this together as, the past behavior or even this present behavior. Can she be held accountable for things that happened in the past, pretty much? Like if she settles in court, she's almost admitting guilt in a way, So if she admits guilt, or that she has some level of guilt in what she's being accused for with Silva, then that almost opens the door even more for the Kurt case, because it's like you admitted, or you at least settled, which looks like guilt, for this case in 2022, or whenever this ends up getting settled, or wherever it goes. So does that mean that this thing that happened in 94, you could have also, admitted guilt at? It's just like all connected. Now I'm not seeing her in chat, but I saw her in StreamYard. That's so weird. Do you guys see the analysts in chat? Where'd she go? Okay, carrying on. Anyway, so she just admitted here, this documentary was so good. Oh, there she is. I'm just going to rent you. This was, she was just a complete train wreck in this documentary, The Return of Courtney Love. This was in 2006. And that behind the music clip that we had just seen was 2000 or 2001. So this is only like 5 to 6 years later, and she's just looks so aged. And I think she's gotten more work done. In one interview, she talked about how her teeth that she had gotten done was $189,000. It's just crazy. She has a lot of spending issues for sure. So compulsiveness there as well. So they're kind of talking about, the interviewer guy and her kind of talking about, her personality and all that. And she's pretty much admitting to being mad, which everyone knows that mad is the same as crazy. So I don't need to pull up the definition, but, listen to what she says. It is very interesting, and it's troubling at the same time if you're looking at linking her to any of this criminal behavior.
You're not on drugs, but you are a bit mad.
Yeah. Well, sure. I mean, I'm a bit mad for sure. It's not like I see people or hear voices, but I'm a little nuts. I'm certainly obsessive.
That'll be a revelation to it.
I know that none of this shines on my child. None of this dark side of the moon shit is on my kid.
So she said that she's obsessive. She admits it. And, just that's noteworthy. Very noteworthy. And then she goes into saying none of this dark side of the moon shit will reflect on my kid. And this whole segment was sort of in reference to her drug use. And this is after, I believe, that court appearance clip that we'd seen her. And, she had lost custody of Frances Bean at this point. So here she's just saying, everything that was dark that she had done, she's not going to let that happen to Frances, which is ironic because once we get into the Silva case, you see, she encouraged this relationship between this Sam Lufty guy. And bye, Amelia. Thank you for being here. She said, bye, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. So, so Courtney is just in 2019 in these court files talking about helping Frances Bean with this drug connection. But here we have her in 2006. It's just like unbelievable. It really depends on what's good for Courtney at that moment, how she will be treating people around her. And at this point, it was in 2006. It was good for her to kind of play it off as like, and maybe she didn't want anything like that dark stuff to happen to Frances at this point. But then it gets fast forward, and she actually ends up losing a lot of the control of the Nirvana estate because of her issues, and Frances has the control. So how does Courtney keep control of people like we've seen in the past and with other people around her? She uses drugs a lot of the time and other manipulative means, and that keep people dependent on her. So at this point, she still, I think, has a lot of the control in her relationship with Francis, even though she lost custody. You know, she's trying to get that back. But then in 2019, you'll see when we talk about it, she doesn't have much control of Francis. And the one thing that she can kind of use is her connection to drugs. And she has the connection with the guy that she's trying to like introduce them, the same Lufty guy. You'll see. It all ties in together, and it all comes down to Courtney being a walking contradiction and just shady.
And
Well, that's the bottom line, isn't it?
yeah, it absolutely is.
You actually have to
She's the buck stops with me. None of this stuff from her dad's side or my family side is going to affect her. None of it. She's going to get whatever she wants, whatever she needs. I don't care what it takes. Anyone fucks with her, I will fuck with them. Do you want to go to the glasses store?
So that part is noteworthy when you look at the Silva case and what she's being accused of. You know, they lost the guitar, her and Francis Bean, and she elaborates this huge plot to get it back. So in 2006, she's saying anybody F's with her.
My family side is going to affect her. None of it. She's going to get whatever she wants, whatever she needs. I don't care what it takes. Anyone fucks with her, I will fuck with them. Do you want to go to the glasses store?
Silva met Cobain on January 8th, 2010, after which.
Okay, so that little quote, you know, anyone F's with her, I'll F with them, is just sort of foreshadowing when it comes to this Silva stuff. So now we've gone from 2006 to now we're at 2019, and they actually met in 2014. So that's sort of where these court documents start. And I just wanted to say I recorded this when I had the time, and I was alone for like very small part of or window of time. And I kind of had to stop it and like look words up to pronounce, because it's all the court documents. Like, it's not like the Daily Mail or those other things that I was reading. So bear with me. And I tried to add some visuals to give you guys like who's who. And so yeah, just bear with my reading. And yeah, it's not too bad because I stopped and kind of restarted, but you know, it's better than me reading it live right now. So, and then I'll pause it and kind of explain certain parts as well. And some of the things are abbreviated, so I'll explain also.
Which a dating relationship began. At the time the two met, Silva was working with special needs children at an elementary school in Orange County. He held this position for approximately 8 years while concurrently working in the music industry and developing his music career. Cobain is the only child of two musicians, Kurt Cobain, deceased, and defendant Courtney Love. In 2011, Cobain and Silva began residing together full-time. Commencing in 2012, according to emails provided to Silva by Cobain, Love's business manager, defendant Lufty, began surreptitiously providing services for Cobain and Love in trade for favors and loyalty. During the time outlined herein, Lufty surreptitiously provided narcotics, illicit benzodiazepines to Cobain and Love. Defendant Lufty and Cobain referred to the drugs as cookies. For example, when the two discussed the need for more narcotics and illicit benzodiazepines, they would communicate in code and say, "The cookie jar is empty," or something to that effect. Attached herein, marked Exhibit 1, collectively and incorporated herein, is set out at length, are copies of 7 email conversations. So yeah, that's what I meant by
I'm reading the court documents. So I start skipping through these little things that they're saying and get to the main stuff. But yeah, just bear with me.
Benzo of 7 email conversations between Lufty and Cobain regarding their illicit drug transactions. Lufty routinely used defendant Butler to deliver the narcotics and illicit benzodiazepines to Cobain. En route was for Butler to leave the drugs in a hiding place in the bushes outside of Silva and Cobain's Curson Avenue residence. This hiding place was predetermined by Lufty and Cobain through email. The narcotics and illicit benzos were hidden to ensure Silva was unaware of the secret drug-related business relationship between Lufty and Cobain. Cobain, in an attempt to further conceal her requests for narcotics and benzos, developed a code of emojis to
So I know you guys are listening, but I just wanted to do a quick summary. So right now, Sam, who is Courtney Love's, little quote unquote Rottweiler, her little business manager, minion guy, he is providing drugs to Frances Bean behind her boyfriend's back. So at this point, which this whole case is her ex against Courtney and the other people. So at this point, he has no idea that his girlfriend's doing all this behind his back, and it's involving Courtney and that Sam Lufty guy.
disguise each of the illicit drugs that she was solicited from Lufty. Attached is the emoji code used for her illicit drug transaction communications with Lufty. Cobain lived primarily with Love in New York until 2009, when Cobain's grandmother, Wendy O'Connor, formerly Wendy Cobain, and Cobain's aunt, Kimmy Cobain, obtained legal guardianship of Cobain. Thereafter, Cobain moved to Los Angeles. At the time, O'Connor and Kimmy moved from the family home in Washington State and into a home just doors down the street from Cobain on West Knoll in West Hollywood. After dating for a year, Cobain proposed to Silva on July 4th, 2011, and in celebration of their engagement, the young couple searched for a home near West Hollywood, selecting and moving into a Curson Avenue residence in West Hollywood. Subsequently, Cobain's estranged mother, Love, rented a home directly across from Waltless Park, a small park within walking distance of Silva and Cobain's Curson Avenue residence. Lufty would later claim that he and Butler facilitated Love's move to this location. Love seemingly moved into her new residence.
So just to do a little sum up. So that pretty much was saying that Courtney and her minions scoped out a place to live that was close to Isaiah, Silva, and Frances. Like on purpose, purposely scoped out a place to move into to be close.
With the intent of smoothing things over with Cobain. Soon after her move, Love began texting and soliciting Silva for his help in mending the damaged relationship with her daughter. At about this time, Love sent a text message to Silva imploring him to allow her to introduce him to Lufty, Love's confidant and business manager. Despite Silva's apprehension, due to the infamous reputation that preceded both Lufty and Love, Silva felt obligated to appease the requests of his future mother-in-law, furthering Love's hopes that Silva would broker peace between her and Cobain. Subsequently, Lufty initiated numerous attempts to ingratiate himself with both Cobain and Silva. On May 31st, 2012, Lufty, stating he was a confidant of Love's, solicited Cobain by email requesting that Cobain get to know him and telling her that a relationship would be mutually beneficial. Evidence of Lufty's idea of a mutually beneficial relationship is illustrated in subsequent emails between Cobain and Lufty. In one email, Cobain thanked Lufty for traveling to Mexico, obtaining illicit drugs, and transporting them back to the U.S. for her and Love's use. In exchange, Cobain insisted on paying Lufty for any expense incurred during the process of refilling the cookie jar. Cobain and Silva engaged now for some time, and with Silva still none the wiser that Lufty had been surreptitiously providing narcotics and benzos to Cobain, set October 30th, 2013 as their wedding date. However, before the date arrived, Silva became increasingly concerned after witnessing Cobain on a number of occasions meet a car outside of their Curson Avenue residence, return inside in a suspicious manner, and immediately retreat into the bathroom. When Cobain emerged from the bathroom, she exhibited bizarre, agitated, and abusive behavior. On several occasions, Cobain did not return from the bathroom for long periods of time. On one such occasion, Silva became alarmed and entered the bathroom. Silva found Cobain passed out on the bathroom floor from apparent drug use. This was not an isolated incident, and as time went by, Silva found Cobain in this condition with greater frequency. Despite Silva's observations, Cobain continued to emphatically deny that her behavior and physical condition were drug-related. Silva spent countless sleepless nights monitoring Cobain's breathing and behavior, fearful that she would pass away in her drug-induced deep sleep. On occasion, Silva documented Cobain's behavior with hope that sharing a video of her conduct would convince Cobain that her drug use was a serious and potentially life-threatening problem. Silva hoped that it would motivate Cobain to seek treatment. Unfortunately, Cobain's drug use only escalated and came to the point where Silva was finding Cobain passed out on the bathroom floor, just feet from the bed where his 5-year-old daughter, Arlo Silva, hereinafter referred to as Arlo, was sleeping. Over time, and after heart-to-heart discussions, Cobain not only admitted to Silva that she was receiving narcotics and illicit benzos from Lufty, she also provided Silva with the email exchanges marked as exhibits herein between herself and Lufty, detailing their surreptitious drug-based business relationship. This confirmed to Silva that Lufty, Love's business manager and confidant, was in fact conspiring with the furnishing drugs to Cobain behind Silva's back. In one particular email exchange between Lufty and Cobain on October 12, 2013 at around 5:00 p.m., Lufty discussed the delivery of cookies to Cobain. In the email, Lufty proposed that Cobain introduce Butler to Silva, stating, "I'm telling you, you should have Ross bring over GTA 5, say your mom's sending it as a gift, and Ross can meet you too, and never mention me or cookies. Plus, I bet you Isaiah will think he's cool. Ross is playing guitar for Rolling Stones in France and this December, by the way. Plus, if they click, then great. You'll have a friend of his that's incredibly loyal to you." Cobain responded, "Amazing," and said, "My in-laws are still here, so maybe he should put them on the left side in the bushes like he did the first time. Just let me know when he's on the way so I can distract." Upon confirmation of Lufty's clandestine drug supply arrangement with Cobain, Silva became extremely worried for Cobain and himself. Silva's underlying suspicion of Lufty was further validated by black box security professionals hired following a break-in at the couple's Curson Avenue residence in October 2000. Okay, so this black box that I was just talking about is like a security company
they had a break-in. I guess it was like an obsessed Nirvana fan, but he was like after Isaiah. I don't know, but it was not related to like this really. That was just like separate, but it's explained, and it's not really explained in the court stuff. It just talks about how this security company that they got it after that break-in occurred. And thank you all for being here again. I'm going to continue it right now. Just looking at chat. I agree with this comment, Paul. It was probably in Courtney's favor to have Frances on drugs so that Courtney could control her and the money, etc. Exactly. Which, yeah. Thank you for helping me get that point across. We've seen her do that with other people in the past, including Kurt, in my opinion. Is it freezing for anybody else, the audio? Hi, Natasha. The employees of Black Box Security recommended that Silva and Cobain not give any personal information to Lufty, stating that Lufty is notorious for using such information to go after people. This understanding, coupled with Silva's knowledge of the content of the email exchanges between Cobain and Lufty, caused Silva to personalize the home's "Smile, You're on Camera" surveillance sign with the message, "This means you, Sam Lefty, and Ross Butler." A celebrity gossip website picked up on his handwritten. So at this point, it's pretty much been brought to Isaiah's attention, everything going on behind his back. And, Frances wants to smooth things over with him, obviously, at this point. And she's handed over, her emails and all that pretty much to gain his trust back and show him everything that's been going on. So that's what this part's pretty much referring to when it says about the sign and the security system. They made it known to Sam Lufty and that Alex Butler guy, like, stay away. We're moving on. And we don't want you near us. Note on the security sign and published an article which got back to Love and Lufty, angering them, foreshadowing what was to come for Silva years later. Love and Lufty flooded Cobain and Silva with calls and texts demanding that Silva take the sign down immediately and issue a public apology to Lufty and Butler. Silva did not apologize, but appeased Love and Lufty by eventually taking the sign down. Lufty's intrusion into Silva and Cobain's life and relationship was not limited to supplying drugs to Cobain. Lufty found ways to insinuate himself into nearly anything that involved Cobain and her mother. Love referred to Lufty as her Rottweiler and described him in text messages to Silva. "He's a Rottweiler when it comes to protecting me and my assets, and a good friend." In February 2015, Love, Lufty, Cobain, and Silva were scheduled to attend a premiere of the Kurt Cobain documentary Montage of Heck in Berlin. Prior to the premiere, Silva became ill and could not travel for the event. He encouraged Cobain to go without him, but she chose to stay with Silva. This angered Lufty, and he lashed out at Silva, accused him of lying about his illness, and threatened him. Knowing that Lufty lives on the end of Love's leash, Cobain informed her mother about Lufty's conduct, and Love apologized to Silva by text message. In the text message, Love once again confirmed Lufty's status as the Rottweiler and her position as his handler. "FBC just told me about Sam, and I have no idea I have a Rottweiler who's out of control. Just So, at this point, Courtney, they brought it to Courtney's attention how Sam is, and how he was acting out of line. And Courtney said FBC obviously means Francis being Cobain. And she's saying, it's been brought to my attention, blah, blah, blah. So I just wanted to explain the abbreviation there. Just looking at chat, and D Irish said, I personally, isn't she the typical narcissistic mother? Poor Frances doesn't have a chance until she breaks ties with her mom. But where does that leave her financially? And then another comment from the analyst, Frances said she didn't have much to do with, montage of heck, for she was on drugs. Courtney used Frances for it, like the guitar, throw all under the bus, but herself, it seems. Yeah. And I believe Frances says she regretted the fact that she wasn't in the right state at that moment in her life, and signed off on agreeing for that film. Effing ignore him. I'm so sorry. Terribly so. I told him to knock it the F off. If he continues, please tell me. Ignore him. I should not have shared nor concern with him. I'm sorry you are being growled at and threatened. He's probably drunk. Just ignore it. As part of Love and Lufty's joint effort to cajole their way into Cobain and Silva's lives, Love, with a full knowledge of Lufty's sordid public reputation. Okay, hold on. Just wanted to read a comment in chat. Why did the police choose not to charge anyone? They literally broke into his social media accounts and posted fake suicidal comments before they attempted to kill him. Yeah, they impersonated cops. Yeah. But the problem was when the cops came, I kind of sped through reading it in that Daily Mail article. I'm going to link that in the chat, or in the description. And when the cops approached the car, they got Silva to say pretty much that it was just a joke. It wasn't real. Mrs. Kurt Cobain, thanks for being here. That's okay. You're late. But you have to go back. You should just start over because we had good clips of Courtney in the past you have to see. But yeah, so that's why nobody got arrested and stuff that night. And I don't know. It's kind of unreal to think about that cops were there and they were able to tell them that it was just a joke. That's crazy. But apparently it happened. I'm not sure what her payment from the estate is monthly. I'm not sure. Reputation nonetheless told Silva to trust Lufty. She asserted that Lufty would be useful and worth having on their side. The extent of Lufty's utility to Love was later illustrated by a 2013 email exchange between Lufty and Cobain. Having lost control of Kurt Cobain's estate to her daughter in 2010, Love was replaced as the estate's manager by attorney David Burns. In addition, Love's decision authority for the estate, End of Music LLC, was. So they're referring to some LLC that they own, and that I'm assuming, from my understanding, Francis took over, and makes decisions. And so that was kind of thrown into these court documents as well. It kind of talks about how, she wanted some money, Courtney wanted some money, and Francis, had to sign off and did, but it would take a while or something. And it seemed as though Courtney was upset about that, or Sam Lufty, her manager or whatever, made it seem like it was a problem, that it was going to take a minute. I don't know. It was just, you'll hear, but it sounds a lot like, just more manipulation by Courtney on Francis. And of course, money seems to be, the main issue and objective.
Was transferred to Cobain. In the October 11th, 2013 email exchange with Cobain, Lufty endeavors to enlist Cobain's influence with End of Music LLC to expedite a large royalty payment Lufty claims is due to Love. In an emotional play to obtain Cobain's support and financial aid, Lufty told Cobain that Love was in debt by at least $130,000 and would not be able to pay her $16,000 rent, among other obligations. In a cynical effort to play Cobain against that LLC, Lufty implied that LLC blamed Cobain for their decision not to make the payment to Love earlier. Lufty wrote, "They basically rubbed it in our face already that you don't care that the check is coming in December rather than next week."
So Sam Lufty in these emails is trying to make Frances annoyed with the people involved in that LLC. And he's trying to say like manipulate the situation. Like, they made it clear that you don't care, that it's going to take a while. Like, here, your mom's over here and we don't know if she'll be able to pay rent, blah, 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 blah. So it's just another example of
in an email back to Lufty, Cobain initially says that she will intercede on Love's behalf if she can get drugs delivered. "Tell you what, I'll do that if I can get a package delivered tonight or tomorrow. Fair trade-off?" Lufty responds, telling Cobain that Love has been living frugally and reiterates that the gravity of Love's financial position. Lufty ends his email with a reference to the drugs Cobain requested and implied quid pro quo as to future drug deliveries. "I know you're thinking, fuck this guy and where's Ross, LOL. Don't worry, that's been taken care of. But I'll be dry after that, so trying desperately to work on refilling the cookie jar." In the end, Love's Rottweiler filled the cookie jar and successfully exploited the addiction he encouraged and fueled with Cobain to manipulate her into interceding the EOM LLC on Love's behalf. Cobain later claimed that she also gave Love money to pay her rent. Deeply hurt by Cobain's deception,
so Courtney ends up getting this money from that LLC from Frances, but it came with a price of her addiction, and it was just used pretty much as like a pawn in all this. Like, yes, Frances pretty much said like, yeah, if you can refill the cookie jar, blah, 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 but she's not well. And a lot of her not being well has a lot to do with the Sam Lufty guy and Courtney themselves. And everyone's just out for their own wants at this point. And it's just a sad situation. And then it pretty much says like, not only did Courtney end up getting that money, Frances did pay her rent too, like in addition. So, she took care of her mom, and it's sad that all the mother can do is take care of her sickness right now in this point in her life, which this was a few years ago, that this is all just now coming to light for those who just got here.
And surrounding her secret drug-related business relationship with Lufty. And following a drug-related fueled episode of domestic violence wherein Cobain struck Silva, Silva called off the couple's engagement and October 30th, 2013 wedding date. Soon thereafter, Cobain decided it was in her best interest and the best interest of her relationship with Silva to discontinue her illicit relationship with Lufty. Toward this end, Cobain provided Silva with copies of her email communications with Lufty regarding their illicit drug-related relationship. The relationship between Silva and Cobain improved and the couple reestablished their trust. Silva and Cobain began looking to their future and possible marriage. Ultimately, Cobain and Lefty rekindled their drug-related business relationship behind Silva's back. Unaware of this development, Silva surprised Cobain with a marriage proposal and ring to celebrate their re-engagement. The couple set a new wedding date for June 2014 in anticipation of the couple's annual January 8th celebration of their dating anniversary, which would have special significance due to the re-engagement and new wedding date. Silva spent the month of December 2013 meticulously constructing a highly personalized art studio / reading room for Cobain at their Carson Avenue residence. Eager to surprise his fiancée, Silva began the process of... Okay, I'm just going to pause it here. So these pictures of the house were from a real estate website. I'm not sure if this is the room that he redid for her. And obviously, I think they would probably redo it again because she sold the house. So I put this at this part because I thought it was the room maybe that was used for it. But again, I just want to say I'm not 100% sure. But this is the residence that they lived at. These are just the realtor pics. Converting the spare bedroom, no detail was spared in Silva's request to surprise Cobain with an extravagant and sentimental dating anniversary gift. He purchased much of the room furnishing and decor from Cobain's favorite high-end antique shop, TINL. Silva purchased other vintage furnishings and decor at the weekly Fairfax Flea Market in West Hollywood. Additional items were acquired from miscellaneous vendors, private sellers, and created by hand by Silva. These items include a vintage 1950s desk that Silva restored and converted into a drawing table with a light box, and unique vintage storage unit that Silva repurposed, fully stocking it with Cobain's favorite art supplies from Blick, a vintage front sconce that Silva restored, a pair of vintage French floor lamps, a pair of 1950s vintage French drapes that Silva modified, a wrought iron daybed with trundle, vintage wrought iron baskets that Silva repurposed and mounted as shelves, which he stocked with Cobain's favorite books, including the 1930s first edition copy of Henry Miller's Tropic of Cancer framed artwork, and other limited edition art pieces signed and numbered by some of Cobain's favorite artists, including Frank Gazik, music memorabilia from Cobain's favorite musicians, including one-of-a-kind drawing by the late G.G. Allin, a record player along with a vintage milk crate that Silva repurposed and stocked with Cobain's favorite albums, an LED flat screen TV, a decorative gold British double jet guitar that Silva mounted on the wall, as well as many sentimental knickknacks and collectibles and art pieces. Cobain, aware that Silva had been laboring for weeks in preparation for their annual January 8th dating anniversary celebration, and in light of the couple's re-engagement and new wedding date, obtained consent and acknowledgement from Love to retrieve one of her late father's guitars from storage. Cobain selected the night. So at this point, they are, celebrating that their relationship's going good. They go to the storage unit, and that's when, he picks the guitar, which, like stated, you need consent from Courtney to get anything out of that storage unit, and Francis and Courtney both have to sign off on whatever's taken out of it. 1959 Martin guitar she observed Silva playing during a prior visit to the storage facility. Notably, items could not be removed from the storage facility by Cobain or Love without their mutual consent, which proved to be difficult to achieve at times. One often holding out on the other for a favor in exchange for consent. On January 8th, 2014, before the couple left the Curson Avenue residence to celebrate their dating anniversary and other recent relationship milestones at the Chateau Marmont, the couple exchanged gifts. First, Silva revealed the art studio reading room to Cobain and all its sentimental contents. Elated by Silva's gift, Cobain said it was the most amazing thing she had done for her. Cobain, in celebration of the couple's dating anniversary and re-engagement, gifted Kurt Cobain's 1959 Martin guitar to Silva. Cobain also told Silva that the guitar was a means for Silva to form a bond with his late father-in-law and welcome Silva into the family. The guitar immediately became symbolic and sentimental to Silva, and he kept it in the master bedroom of the couple's Curson Avenue home. Silva and Cobain were married as planned on June 29th, 2014, and continued to live together at the Curson Avenue house. Silva was overjoyed with the gift and immediately texted several of his friends and bandmates to share the news with them. Silva included photographs of the 1959 Martin guitar in his text message exchange with Ian Volker.
I get picked on, they try and drag me to the loony bin. I get this because I'm the only chick standing. And I'm a crazy bitch, and I'm a widow, and it makes me sick. It's pathetic. Stop it. Seriously, or I'll kill you.
About it rather than just put it in and go, oh, look, there's a mad episode. Do you know what I mean? Which you could do.
Well, I have mad episodes because I'm a bit mad.
Well, okay, so that maybe is the absolute core truth. Basically, that you're not on drugs, but you are a bit mad.
Yeah. Well, sure. I mean, I'm a bit mad for sure. It's not like I see people or hear voices, but I'm a little nuts. I'm certainly obsessive.
That'll be a revelation to it.
I know that none of this shines on my child. None of this dark side of the moon shit is on my kid, and
well, that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah. It absolutely is. The buck stops with me. None of this stuff from her dad's side or my family side is going to affect her. None of it. She's going to get whatever she wants, whatever she needs. I don't care what it takes. Anyone fucks with her, I will fuck with them. Do you want to go to the bar?
Yeah, D Irish, I agree. She said maybe the loony bin is where she should have went and been kept. I mean, might have prevented some things from taking place. So that pretty much is like what I ended it with. Him taking the guitar. It was a gift. We later find out, obviously, he ends up getting to keep the guitar in the divorce settlement. And then Courtney is still like insistent on getting it back and allegedly comes up with that claim or that plan to take it back herself with her minions' help. And I just can't help but think, like, when we read in that Daily Mail article about, they broke in and this and that, I just think about what might have happened with Kurt and what that plan really came down to. And I think that Courtney has a lot to do with that. So thank you everyone for being here. Whoever is representing Courtney and all these people, I guess the next court date was is in January. And yeah, these are the allegations once again. And this kind of, I'm going to keep following this and, doing my live streams when I can. And I think clipping past interviews with Courtney that are quote unquote damning or not her best light, I think that I'm going to continue to do because, there's so many of them and she just contradicts herself over and over, or there'll be something very subtle that happens that she does in an interview or live TV or something. And to me, it's just like red flag, just add it to the pile of questionable behavior from this lady who I believe is entirely capable of conspiring against her husband, who was going to divorce her. So that's pretty much where I have to end it. It's hard to kind of cover the Kurt case because it's not reopened and it's, hasn't changed to any other type of cause of death besides suicide. So it's very hard to kind of cover that case now, present day, because it's been so long. But this Silva case, actually, I see it as a tool to kind of stir up things in the past and kind of bring it to light again. So this helps with that because obviously the present behavior can predict past behavior and past behavior can predict future behavior and all that. So really appreciate everybody and Happy New Year. I'll probably do another live stream after the new year on Summerwell's case, who's still missing, unfortunately. And we'll always be checking in with this case because it is very close to my heart. And I really appreciate everybody. So thank you for being here and thanks again.